We're often called Nazis, which is interesting because the Nazis were the ones that medically experimented on children, and that's what's happening today.
Gays Against Groomers is a nonprofit created to stop the gender bending indoctrination of children. That means the sexualization and medicalization of kids that's been done under the guise of inclusion and LGBTQIA rights. Started by one woman in Milwaukee, the group now has the support of millions and has built chapters all over the country. I had the chance to sit with founder Jaimee Michell along with co-leaders Sasha Leigh and Barrett. Here's what they had to say. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to sit with me today.
Yeah,
Of course.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Let's get right to it. What is grooming?
Grooming is the act of putting ideas in a child's head that they're not ready for, going against the parent's will, going behind the parent's back, keeping secrets, and essentially, I would just say that it's doing something to children that they're not ready for in life, coercing them. In this regard, I believe that grooming, it presents itself very heavily in our community right now and being pushed in our community in terms of, sexualizing them, which is preparing them to be comfortable with these things, which are not normal, which is not okay for them to be dealing with. It's normalizing the sexualization. It's indoctrinating them with these books that you have here. And it's just putting the idea in their head that, oh, maybe they were born in the wrong body, and grooming them with these ideas that lead them down this path of permanent medicalization. So, grooming takes on a million different forms, but what we see now and what we're fighting are those things essentially.
And I don't know if you've seen it online. It's like everybody's like, well, grooming is only sexual grooming. And it's
Oh
like,
no,
oh,
no, it's much more than
It,
that.
it's expanded into many different things.
Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
think it's just sexual and it's not. It's,
Right.
Right.
it can just be talking about concepts that children are not ready for.
Yeah. So, one of the specific things that children are being groomed for is to think that they may be born in the wrong body, as you say. And you guys have had a hand in 19 states passing bills that have banned child sex changes.
That's
Like,
correct.
can you just give me an example of one that you're particularly excited about?
Chris could take the floor
Yeah.
with that one.
Yeah. So in the state of Missouri, one of the very first things that I actually got called in to do for Gays Against Groomers was to testify before the Missouri House and Senate on this. And I had just been a member of Gays Against Groomers for just a couple of months. And so it's like, wow, talk about trial by fire. And anyway, so I did that. We had a big rally at the state capitol. Antifa was there. They're always so pleasant. And anyway, so we did that, and it ended up passing through the legislature. The governor signed it into law. It did get challenged by the ACLU just recently, and but thankfully the courts were sane in the state of Missouri, and they upheld the Missouri law. And it I get Gays Against Groomers had a part in that.
Wow. You must be like, what is it like to just be, you're just a regular person living your life, and the next thing you know, you're speaking at your state senate.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But the thing is, it's like I just believe so firmly in what I was doing, and I had to get out of my comfort zone. I mean, everybody, all of us want to sit back and kind of like observe this stuff from afar, maybe go on social media and complain about things, and say those sorts of things. But it's different when you're actually like thrown in there. Um, and it's kind of cool too, in a way, to start being a part of this stuff. I mean, the court case came up with the ACLU in the state of Missouri, I had the attorney general's office contact me and it's like, hey Chris, can you put your feelers out in the state of Missouri and get as many people to pack the courtroom with supporters as possible? And so I did, and I made sure that everybody showed up really early because that way the court had none of the opposition in there. They weren't able to get in.
All right. Oh, you're a natural.
He gets the job done. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Wow. So, it wasn't that long ago that there was universal agreement that it was virtuous for us to protect the innocence of children. What the hell happened?
Yeah, up until 5 minutes ago, this was all common sense, and it was well known that, the red line you don't cross is going after children. But I think it's kind of been a slow burn leading up to it, but it was so insidious that we maybe couldn't see it until it kind of just boiled over. I think that there are a few motivators behind it. I think that the first one is to normalize pedophilia. And they're using this agenda to kind of push that through and to get the public to be okay with it. I think another motivator is obviously money, hooking these children up to the medical industrial complex. Yeah, Big Pharma loves trans kids. So that's what I think is going on behind it. And I think that they are scaring people into silence. They're using the LGBTQIA plus community to gain acceptance from it and to make sure nobody speaks out against it, or else you're labeled a bigot, you're labeled a homophobe or a transphobe. And, we take great issue with that because we never consented to any of this being done in our name. We never signed up for this. We never foresaw this coming when we were just fighting for our rights.
Who could?
No, it's like, but there's no money in just winning and going home. We won the battle for our equality in this country, which was a just fight. But that doesn't pay the bills. Just going home and calling it a day and taking the win. Yeah.
So does being gay have anything to do with gender identity?
Well, we were kind of talking about that earlier, and maybe the only overlap that I could possibly see is that a lot of young gay males can be effeminate, not always, but a lot are, and the same with younger gay women. They may be a little bit more masculine. And I think that these people are preying on those tendencies of us. We're already a vulnerable population. I mean, gay people definitely do have more acceptance than we had in the past, but there still is a stigma attached to it to a certain degree. And I think these people are almost oddly offering like a path to heterosexuality.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We say, they're transing the gay away. I'll say I don't think that there is any overlap between being gay and being trans, or being LGB and being T. That's why we in Gays Against Groomers, we say LGB and T instead of LGBT.
Right.
Because, their voices are very important in this fight. And we have multiple trans people in the organization because they can speak on the medicalization aspect more than even gay people can.
Right.
But, being gay is who you love, who you're attracted to, and gender identity is a whole different, I see them as two circles that really don't overlap. But yeah, to what Chris said, it's true. Like, they are preying on these gender non-conforming kids who otherwise, the vast majority of the time, just grow up to be gay adults, It
just seems to me that it's just their personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying. Yeah, exactly. It is.
Medicalizing personality quirks.
Well, and you said transing the gay away thing, and I totally agree with that. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, in several speeches that I've given, I'll say, I didn't like it when we tried to pray away the gay.
Right.
And now we're trying to trans away
It's the new
gay.
conversion therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's not creating normal, healthy people.
Oh no, it's like,
you know, the praying away was at least they wanted to what they called normal. You know, make everyone at least fit into this, you know, regular molds of men and women get married, have babies, procreate. This is creating people who are traumatized, sterilized. You know, the medications not only affect their body, they affect their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you read the side effects on these puberty blockers, I mean, they're forcing people to lose their minds.
oh yeah.
So it's just so, we don't have to get into that, it's just too bonkers.
Oh
but-
no, it's 1,000 times worse, obviously, you know, because this time instead of just you know, some kind of actual sitting down therapy, and it's these kids are leaving their conversion therapy with missing body parts and completely sterilized, and that's what these drugs do.
Yeah.
All right, so you're just fighting to keep children innocent, but the Southern Poverty Law Center has you labeled as an extremist group. What's that like?
Sasha, you want to talk?
We think it's really funny. We laugh about it. We aren't a hate group. We aren't extremists. We're normal gay people that just want to protect children. I think anybody who actually knows us knows that we're all gay and trans, and like I said, we're just regular people that want to protect children. We want to fight back against, you know, what's happening, and we aren't a hate group. We aren't anti ourselves, and we just it's the you know it just shows that there's no they can't say anything about us. They don't know what to say, so they just say that we hate ourselves.
Yeah, they can't win on the facts. They can't win with the science.
Right.
So all they have is to label people fighting against it as, you know, we're often called Nazis, which is interesting because the Nazis were the ones that medically experimented on children, and that's what's happening today. But, you know, to be honest, if we weren't labeled a hate group or an extremist group or had all these you know, organizations and institutions losing their minds over us just existing, I would think that we weren't doing a good enough job. So every time they do that, you know, the ADL has done the same.
Right.
Which is funny. You know, I'm a Jewish woman, and the ADL is calling me, you know, this anti-LGBTQ. Again, they're insinuating we are the same as Nazis, which is quite insane. But, you know, I wear it as a badge of honor every time one of these new labels gets slapped on us or another publication.
Well, and they also like to make up stories about our funding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just recently learned that we were funded by Peter Thiel. This was something that came out actually.
Oh really? I haven't even heard that one.
Oh yeah, that was
nice
something.
of him.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
something.
no.
That was something that came about me in Missouri.
Oh,
remember?
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
I got a hit piece written about me just speaking at a city council meeting. And they said the Peter Thiel funded Gays Against Groomers. Completely made up. We don't have that sort of funding. And they also asked how much I was paid to sell my soul. And I think that that's something that everyone needs to understand. None of us are making money off of this. No. Not at all. And I think that that's absolutely important. And that is an absolute lie when people say that stuff.
We have 0 big donors. None of us have taken a dime, not even me as the president. No, if anything, I've lost a lot of money doing this because I put a lot of my own money into it in the beginning. Right. But yeah, it's unfortunate that, you know, I thought that everybody was supposed to, these people especially, like these groups, were supposed to platform and praise gay people and, you know, LGBT people, but it seems that that goes out the window when it comes to us.
We're not the right kind of gay.
Yeah, we're not the right kind of gay, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I'm not the right kind of woman.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Like
Sure.
when I argue against some feminist ideology, you know, I'm a misogynist.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm also a transphobe and a homophobe and a
Same.
and a Nazi and a racist and a xenophobe and I can't keep track of all my middle names.
Yeah.
I get it. It's really it is laughable. At first it hurts though, doesn't it?
It's more of a sting. I think. But I fully expected it going into this. I knew what we were up against. And I've kind of been in this arena, I don't want to say gag is political, but like I have been in the political world and just everything is so contentious and divided. And so I had heard every name in the book. But, for these massive organizations to come out and do that and label you those things, it is different, but I fully expected it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about what's going on in schools. So the Human Rights Campaign has educational guidance materials in schools in all 50 states and in multiple countries around the world. Mm-hmm. This is one list of books that they recommend for K-3 students. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are about, transgender life. And, you may be born in the wrong body. And it is under the headline of Why Say Gay?
Wow.
So this is on your back.
Yeah, of course. See, that's what they do. They use us to get this through, and this is exactly what grooming is. This is indoctrination. This is planting ideas in their heads that, first of all, aren't even based in reality.
And they're using the gay community to push this.
Exactly.
And it's only hurting us.
Because, they call it book bans if you don't want this stuff to be given to 5-year-olds, or any child, because they're not ready for it. They call it book bans, but it's very disingenuous. And they say that they're banning LGBTQ plus books.
Which is such a lie.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like every single school board meeting that I've been called into, the books that they want removed are not necessarily all LGBTQIA plus whatever related. In fact, most of them aren't. Most of them are just sexually explicit books that actually feature heterosexual people. There may be a few things like, this book is gay, or not all boys are blue, or something like that thrown in there, which are, gay or trans related books. But, the only reason the parents that I've worked with want those books out is not because they care about the fact that they're talking about gay or trans people. That what they want is these completely sexually explicit books to be taken out. So when I've talked to parents, they're like, Chris, we are fine with, a book that may talk about a gay topic or whatever the case may be. We just don't want this crazy stuff. And I agree with them, because it's like, human beings have figured out how to have sex for thousands and thousands of years without a manual. We've not needed a manual, and we don't need these stupid manuals in schools either.
Right. I think we could, most people agree that we need some sex education to help children, as they get older, prevent STDs, prevent unwanted pregnancy, learn to be respectful and consenting and all that.
Absolutely.
Which I think is great. But the things that the parents that you're talking about are asking, I'd like to share some of that with you today. Some things that are in these books. Are you familiar with Let's Talk About It or Genderqueer?
I'm more familiar with Genderqueer. Yeah. I've seen that one, but I haven't read any of it.
So these are the books that are, part of Nazi book bans.
Yeah, of course.
Right, according to mainstream media. Genderqueer specifically has been banned and removed from about 4 dozen school districts around the country.
As it should be.
And that sounds like an accomplishment, except that there are 13,300 plus school districts in America. So about 94% of them haven't taken a stand on this yet. So we don't know what's going on in those school districts yet. That's why we're doing this, so that we can let parents know about your work, about our work, because they don't even know. But let's see. Okay, this is my least favorite part of what I'm doing here.
It's not fun.
I'm going to ask you guys to read this. Well, I can read it out loud if you want, but maybe one of you could read it. This is a page from Genderqueer.
Okay. I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You are going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Yeah, so, this is porn.
And here's the image that goes with it.
Yeah, this is porn in schools, and they're using us to as a shield to get it through.
This is not what we want.
No.
No.
As gay people, doesn't even represent us. We
We-
don't.
We didn't sign up for this.
No.
This is not what we wanted. And I mean, I was even talking about like, we don't need a manual for sex, but I'm sorry. I mean, this isn't even freaking sex. I mean, we're using a fake dildo and all that.
And we're teaching this to
Yeah,
young
I mean,
children.
this is for children, you know. What are the age ranges on this again?
So if you look on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, that says that it is for 18 plus.
Okay,
Now,
but
that's
it used to
gender
not
queer.
be. Yeah, it used to not be. I think it used to be.
Let's Talk About It is listed as for 14 to 17. But they're in middle schools, which starts at age 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with genderqueer.
Yeah.
You know, they don't follow this 18 plus. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in any school district, and we wouldn't have to work to get them banned.
Well, the thing in the library, it's available to
Yeah.
11-year-olds, so
Right.
it doesn't matter. They can still access it and see it.
Let me show you one more page from Genderqueer. This is, here, you can read this one.
Toured the SF Armory, which at the time housed the filming studios of Kink.com.
Oh, so it's telling them to basically go
What
to
is
that. They're like,
kink.com?
oh, what's kink.com?
Every kid's got a smartphone in
Yeah,
their
of
hand. Have
course.
you guys seen Kink.com? May I show you?
Please show us.
I've never seen
no.
that.
So
I know.
this is the homepage
Oh.
of Kink.com.
Oh, lordy.
I
My
haven't
God.
even clicked around. I had to click one past one thing that says, "Are you 18?" I hit yes.
Right. That's all it does. Yeah.
That's it. Extremely.
Yeah.
A 7-year-old can just. Oh my God.
Oh.
So this is
Wow.
in some in middle school, high school libraries, and in some classrooms.
That is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
They know, and they know
And they
exactly what
know-
they're doing.
Why
Yes.
why put this? They know, exactly what they're doing.
There's no
It's-
reason for that to be given to kids.
No, it desensitizes them to
Yes.
sex and especially sex that way. Rape culture and
And it breaks down boundaries.
yeah.
What would you think of a teacher that wanted to talk about this with
I would.
her student, his or her students?
They should be jailed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, they should never be allowed near a child again.
No.
Any adult that wants children to be introduced to this stuff, we have a phrase that what's on your hard drive, because seriously, what is going on back there? Because no normal adult, no safe adult, they want to protect children from this for as long as possible. Even young adults. I mean, that we only focus on the kids, but this is just, I don't know. It's completely insane.
Well, I could do this all day because there's a lot in these books.
Oh,
yes,
but I'm just
yeah.
going to show you one more that. Let me know if you think kids who see this are ready to talk about this. This is part of the masturbation chapter in Let's Talk About It. This is in particular about anal
I've seen this.
masturbation.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've seen. Yeah, see, I've seen some images from it. We've shared this kind of stuff. Yeah, Jesus.
About butt plugs.
And
That's
don't forget, everybody's got. Oh my.
And this is for
Wow.
14 to 17-year-olds, but they are definitely, they're in the school libraries. So
right. So
Any-
middle schoolers,
yeah.
like she said, starting at 11, can
Yeah.
access and see this. And
And there's a lot of schools, that combine middle and high school. So there's the libraries are not separate.
You
So
know,
then an 11-year-old could talk
Yeah.
about this with an 18-year-old. That's not appropriate.
exactly.
No, none of this.
I had an interesting conversation with. So I went and spoke at a school board meeting, and then I guess the fact that I was a gay person representing myself as a member of Gays Against Groomers, I guess I caught the assistant superintendent of DEI's attention, so she wanted to hear from me. And she presented all this as like, well, we're just trying to be inclusive and all this type of stuff. And I was like, I mean, sure, if you have a book that talks about this issue in like a non-threatening sexual, non-explicit way, it's like, okay, fine. But the thing I asked her, and this totally caught her off guard, it was kind of funny. I was like, so out of the people making the decisions for these books to be in school, do you think the vast majority of them are actually gay people?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And she's like, well, why are you asking that? And I was like, well, we make up about 5% of the population. So just based on those numbers, it's pretty likely it's not mostly gay people actually making the decisions for this weird stuff to be in schools. And she was like, okay, I guess you're right. And I was like, well, here's the thing that I want you to think about the next time that you guys have one of your meetings to decide whether one of these disgusting books should be in your library. Think about how you're actually representing the gay community, because I was like, you're a straight person talking for me.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I don't like the way you're talking for me.
The backlash is growing against all of us, and it's hard to even blame people for it. But I think that that's why what we're doing is so important. We get comments all the time, every day, saying, you're changing my perception of the gay community, of gay people, because, all you see coming out of the community right now is stuff like this, and the drag queen story hours, and the drag shows, the half-naked drag shows with kids involved. And, a normal person seeing that doesn't really know many gay people, they're like, they're thinking that this is just what all of us want, and this is all of our agenda, and that's not true. And so, exactly, I always remind people that it's actually a fringe minority within our community that want to do this and that are pushing this. But the majority of them are straight, that are actually at the top controlling what, these books that get into schools, or funding these, or pushing for the medicalization, these therapists and these doctors, and like the medical boards and stuff that set these guidelines. So it's really upsetting, and it doesn't represent us, and essentially they are speaking for us and doing these things on our behalf, and we never consented to it.
Do we have any data yet on how much money Big Pharma is making on this? I mean, Big Pharma, the therapy industry, the surgeons, and so on.
It's a multi-billion-dollar. I believe it was over $1 billion a year recently, and it's set to go into I believe over $5 billion a year very soon.
Yeah, and I don't have necessarily hard numbers, but I do remember looking up and finding out that in the state of Missouri there are 22,000 trans-identified teens. And a person told me about how much money was made off of each of them, and just in Missouri alone we were talking billions of dollars just there.
Yeah.
So I mean, multiply that by 50 other jurisdictions, including the District of Columbia, then it's like, this is a big money maker.
Absolutely.
There was actually, a doctor that was caught on camera. I don't know if she knew she was being filmed. I believe was at Vanderbilt, in Tennessee, I want to say, in Nashville. And she was caught saying how profitable these drugs and surgeries are, and, to get them, to get them to choose the surgeries, because it's not just the surgery, it's all the follow-up care over the years and years and years. And that's why, they really are setting these kids up to be medical patients for life. So it's not just the initial cost. It's a lifetime of profit coming off these procedures.
Yeah.
So what does life look like for these children if we don't win this fight?
I mean, the people that push this stuff always want to say that, there's, almost everybody's happy with it, thinks it's fine. But, I mean, sure, there may be a few adults and stuff out there that are okay with it, but the thing is most of the kids being targeted are gay or maybe autistic or something like that. And at some point in time, they're going to regret what has happened to them. They will come out from under the fog that has been or the delusion that was kind of thrust upon them. And so the first thing that's going to happen is that community that supposedly loved and cared about them so much is going to abandon them. And I've seen it.
We're already seeing that.
Yeah,
the
the
detransitioners getting hate from the trans.
It's so bad.
Right.
They wish death upon them. and they often say death before detransition now, and they
Sure.
completely turn on these people that they coerced and said, oh, you're safe with us and do this and your life will be all better. And then the second that they
Change
have
their
some
mind,
regret,
yeah.
they throw them under the bus, and it's incredibly sad.
And not only that, there's no medical care for it.
No.
There's no medical codes for detransitioning. There's no
There's no
care for
support.
that. So
Yeah.
they're paying not only all of this out of pocket, but there's literally no medical codes to how to deal with when somebody wants to reverse the transition. So we have a lot of detransitioners in our organization, and it's just heartbreaking that have gone full on surgery to transition, and they detransitioned and they have no home. No, they have nowhere to go. They have no support. So it's heartbreaking.
But and then the second thing I was going to say is then they're going to, if they've had surgeries and stuff like that, they're going to have a lifetime of that reminder of this terrible thing that they've been brought into, and I just can't imagine having to go through that. But I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the fact that Gays Against Groomers raised money for detransitioners.
Yeah, we did. We had a fundraiser for them.
Yeah, because they may not have a community among the trans rights activists anymore, but they definitely have a community with us.
Yeah. That's true. Yep, 100%, and they always will.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what is that money going to be used for?
Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We raised money for detransitioners individually that we know, and then also Gen Spec and Transition Justice. Sorry, Transition Justice is actually helping fight with lawyers to sue these doctors that did these. One of their biggest clients had a double mastectomy at age 13.
Yeah. Can't even, it's insane that we're even talking about this stuff, that this is even a fight that we're having.
Right.
But, the future, if we don't win, which we will win, I'm actually really confident about that. It's going to take some time. But as you can see, and just, the national discourse has exploded. I mean, with these 19, actually, I think it's up to 20 states now that have have signed child protection bills into law, which, by the way, they call anti-LGBTQ bills. It's not. It's pro-child protection. This is what I'm saying. They always use us to just to get this push through. But the future looks very bleak. I mean, you can't destroy an entire generation of children and think the future is going to be fine. I mean, they are the future, and we are completely destroying their minds, their bodies. The suicide rate is going to be astronomical for these young people when they realize the mistake that they've made that is completely irreversible. Yep. You already see that happening. And so, it is a war. And we have no choice but to win it. And I know that we will. We need a little more time. These, some states are going to be a lot harder than others. But, I hope in 5 years from now, this will be buried into the dustbin of history.
Yeah.
And look back upon how we look at the lobotomy craze. Or even it's going to be worse because these are children.
Right.
Yes.
This
and there's
is
many more of them than there were.
Oh yeah, this is a new territory.
Yes.
Children have never been used as lab rats like this at such a mass scale, or at all. And to have many in the public supporting it, it's just wild. The battle is wild. It's crazy, but I am hopeful.
I hope that we don't have to exist in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Same here.
We don't want to.
No, we don't want to be here that much longer. We just want to get the job done, and that's all, and then be done.
All right. Well, we'll end on that positive note, and here's to getting together in 5 years and celebrating that
Exactly.
this is over, or
sooner,
or sooner.
Yes,
if possible, because 5 years is a lot more kids that are going to be affected.
Every day, it's every day more are falling victim to this. So
yeah,
it's very time sensitive, but we are making progress, so it's good.
Well, leadership of Gays Against Groomers, keep at it. We're behind you. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Elena. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.